Mysterious Traveler.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back and get a good grip on your nerves, if you can. Where are we going? Why, we're going to pay a visit to the home of Albert and Louise Jordan. As nice a couple as you'd hope to meet. In a story I call Death is the Visitor. My story begins in the Jordan home late on a hot summer night. Albert Jordan is asleep and is having a nightmare about his mother-in-law.
Oh, no.
You can't pull the wool over my eyes, Albert Jordan. I'm on to your ways. Think that my only child was foolish enough to elope with you. But you made her do it, Albert. You made her.
No. She won't.
As long as I'm alive, she'll be protected from you. Albert, are you listening?
Leave me alone. Please.
Darling, wake up.
What is it?
You were having a nightmare, dear. You don't want to wake Mother up. She needs a good night's sleep for a trip tomorrow.
Oh, yes, the trip. I wish it was tomorrow already. She was gone.
Are you sure you have everything, Mother?
Yes, Louise. Everything I need for my trip home is in this handbag. Oh, now don't forget to ship my trunk.
I've already notified the expressman, Mother. He'll be here to pick it up this morning.
Thank you, dear.
Well, it's almost 9 o'clock, Mother. You'll miss your train.
I've never missed a train in my life. You needn't be so anxious to get rid of me, Albert.
Not really, Mother. I didn't mean...
Oh, Louise, darling, I do hate leaving you alone like this.
But, Mother, I'm not alone. I have Albert.
Well, I don't mind saying it right to his face. I don't trust him, Louise, and I never will. I'm rarely wrong about people, you know that.
Now, see here, Mother. I've had about enough. Louise and I get along perfectly well when you're not here.
See, Louise, what a temper he has. Do you want me to stay, darling?
Really, Mother, I'm very happy with Albert.
Oh, very well, then I'll go, but you'd better be good to her, Albert.
Yes, Mother. I will.
Well, goodbye. And don't forget, Louise, Mother'll be back if you need her.
Yes, Mother. Bye.
Louise, if your mother pays us just one more visit, I'll leave this house for good.
Albert, what are you saying?
In the past year, she spent 8 months with us. She has her clothes here, a key to the house. Why, she's even listed in the phone book under our number. I tell you, I won't be responsible for what happens if she doesn't stay away.
I'll write to her, Albert, and try to explain. Really, I will.
Make her understand that we have our own lives to lead. You know, now that she's gone, I feel like a new man. I can breathe in my own house.
Oh, Albert, you won't forget to put the tags on Mother's trunk, will you? The expressman will be here for it soon.
No, dear. Shipping your mother's trunk to her will be one thing I certainly won't forget. Now, let me see. This is Hortense Duck. 125 River Road, Ferndale, Pennsylvania.
That won't be necessary, Albert. My trunk can remain here.
Mother, but you went to catch your train.
I know I did, but I changed my mind about going. I won't leave my little girl alone. Why are you looking so startled, Albert? Are you hiding something from me?
No. No, of course not.
Where's Louise?
She went downtown an hour ago.
She should be home soon. I'm sure at least she'll be glad to see me. Oh, you haven't locked my trunk yet. That's good.
So you've come back. Again.
You've always wanted to get rid of me, Albert. Keep me away from my only child. But I refuse to give her up. Yes, I've come back, Albert, and I'm staying for good. Frankly, I don't trust you.
You don't trust me?
No. I don't even know your background. For all I know, you may have criminal tendencies.
There's a certain amount of the criminal in all of us. Most people can control their worst instincts, and some can't.
Exactly. And I'm here to see to it that no one harms Louise.
But, Mother, who's going to look out for you?
Albert, why are you looking so queerly at me? Are you sick?
Yes, Mother, I'm sick. Sick of the sight of you.
Albert, stop looking at me that way. Why, you seem like a different person.
I am, Mother. You've made me different, and now you must take the consequences.
Albert, stay away from me. Don't you dare come near me.
So you would keep coming back, Mother. Well, you came back just once too often.
No, Albert. Don't touch me. Albert,
You should have taken that train, Mother. But at least now, I know you won't be coming back ever again. I didn't want to kill you, but you made me. Oh, but now I've got to get rid of you or they'll catch me. The trunk. Yes, it's large enough. Even in death, you're a problem, Mother. But you won't be for long. There. Now I'll have to get rid of the trunk. Somehow. I'll think of a way.
Albert, are you home?
Louise, the trunk. I've got to close it.
Is that you, Albert?
Yes, dear. Yes.
Oh, I see. You're locking the trunk.
Yes, I was just getting it ready for the expressman.
He should be here by now. Albert, is anything wrong?
Anything wrong? What do you mean, Louise?
I don't know. Your face is so flushed.
Oh, it's just a little warm in here, that's all.
Oh, we forgot to pack Mother's robe. Look. Oh, you'll have to open the trunk again, Albert.
No, I mean, the trunk's full already. You wouldn't be able to get anything else into it.
Why, nonsense. When Mother and I packed it, it was only half full. Oh, please open it.
But it's locked and we haven't got the keys.
Oh, yes, that's right. Mother has them. Well, we'll just have to mail the robe to her. Oh, I'll answer the door. It must be the expressman. Make sure the tags are on it, dear.
The tags. Oh, you can't go to her home. Oh, if I only had time to think. Wait, yes, that's the only thing to do.
Oh, come this way, please. You'll find the trunk in this room. Here it is. Are you finished, Albert?
Yes, it's all ready to go.
Okay. Well, I'll make a racket of it. Now, let me see. It's being shipped to...
Perhaps you'd better load it on the truck first.
It's easier this way, mister. You're shipping it to Mr. William Smith, 345 Wood Street, Las Vegas?
Well, that isn't the right address.
Then, what is it on this shipping tag, lady?
Oh, well, that must be one of my customers. I must have been thinking of someone else when I wrote it out.
Yeah, but what's the right address?
Oh, it's Mrs. Hortense Murdoch, 125 River Road, Ferrydale, Pennsylvania. That's right, isn't it, dear?
Yes.
Okay, I know your name and address. I'll put the right tags on later. That's mighty heavy.
Oh, please be careful with it.
Don't worry, lady. I'll get there safe and sound.
Albert, did you get the mail just now?
Yes, dear.
Is there a letter from Mother yet?
No, just a few bills.
I'm really worried. It's a week now and no word from her.
But you mustn't worry, Louise. I'm sure she's all right.
Why, Albert, you're even worried yourself about her. You look so upset.
Oh, I'll answer.
I'll come with you. Maybe it's a special delivery from Mother.
Yes?
Hey, good morning. I got a trunk here for you folks.
What? It's Mother's trunk.
Yes.
You always wanted to get rid of me, Albert. But I've come back, Albert, and I'm staying for good.
Bring it in, won't you, please?
Okay, lady. There you are.
But I don't understand. Why should Mother send her trunk back to us?
Would you mind signing for it, Mr. Jordan?
What? Oh, yes. Here you are.
Thanks. Bye.
Albert, I can't understand why Mother shipped her trunk back to us and without even writing a word about it. Can you figure it out?
What? Oh, no, I can't.
Well, I'm going to put an end to this guessing.
Louise, what are you going to do?
I'm calling Mother. Hello, operator. I want to put through a call to Ferrydale, Pennsylvania. The number is 223.
Why bother, Louise? I'm sure there's a letter on the way.
Oh, I've waited long enough for one. I'm sure there's something wrong. Oh, hello? Oh, hello, Sarah. This is Louise calling. Is my mother there? What? Are you sure? Oh, and that's why you shipped the trunk back. No, thank you, Sarah. Albert, Sarah says that Mother never arrived home. She sent a postcard saying not to expect her just yet.
Was Sarah the one who shipped the trunk back?
Yes. She thought that Mother had decided to stay with us longer and would need her clothes. What? Albert, where can she be?
Oh, now, Louise, I'm sure she's all right.
All right, she's been missing a week. How could she be?
Well, perhaps she's staying with friends.
You know Mother hasn't any friends. We've got to do something. Albert, I'm going to call the police.
The police investigated, but they had no clues, so they didn't learn anything. And George got rid of the embarrassing trunk just as fast as he could. Telling Louise he was going to put it into storage, he took it to a trucking company to ship it as far away as it could go. It was the only thing he could think of to do.
All right, I got it straight, I guess, now. Mr. Richard Jones, 65 Ocean Avenue, Los Angeles. That right?
Yes, that's right. He's my brother.
Yeah, and your name is...
Martin Jones.
Yeah?
1635 Sherwood Road, Riverdale, New York.
Jones, Sherwood Road, Riverdale. All right, Mr. Jones, now let's see. That'll be $18.
Oh, well, here's 20. Keep the change.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Jones. Here's your receipt.
It'll go out right away.
There's a truck leaving tonight. Don't you worry. This trunk will get to Los Angeles all right.
That's fine. It'll be quite a load off my mind when it's gone.
A week passed, 2 weeks, 3, and poor Albert was breathing more easily again. Until one morning when something most unexpected happened.
Louise, darling.
Yes, Albert.
Oh, darling, I have a present for you. Some flowers. Just saw them and thought you'd like them.
Thank you, Albert. You're very thoughtful.
Louise, your mother's been missing more than a month now. You can't go on like this. You'll have a breakdown.
Oh, Albert, where can she be? Why can't the police find her?
Well, darling, if she hasn't been found in 5 weeks... Oh, excuse me, dear. I'll answer it.
Maybe it's news of Mother, Albert.
Good evening. I got a trunk here. I think belongs to you.
A trunk?
Yeah, that's right.
You always wanted to get rid of me, Albert. But I've come back, Albert. I've come back.
Do you recognize it? It's yours, isn't it?
Oh, no.
Huh? Well, ain't you the fella that shipped this trunk about a month ago? Didn't you give me a $2 tip?
I'm afraid you have me confused with someone else. Don't you know where the trunk goes?
Well, no. You see, it's come all the way back from California. It seems there wasn't no such address where this was shipped to.
Surely it had a return address.
Yeah, but the trunk got wet. The return address kind of washed off, so it came back to the office where it was shipped from.
Oh. Look, what makes you think it belongs here?
Well, you see, I kind of did a little detective work. The initials stamped on the trunk are HGM. Well, I looked it up in the phone book, and the only person in town with those initials lives here.
Well, I'm sorry, but it certainly isn't my trunk.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to trouble you. I'd have sworn you was the guy that gave me that $2 tip.
Where will you take the trunk now?
Oh, it'll be put to the unclaimed baggage, and then in a few months it'll be auctioned off.
Auctioned off?
Yeah. You'd be surprised what you sometimes find in them, just like a grab bag game. Well, sorry to trouble you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Huh?
What did you say those initials were?
HGM.
HGM. What? They're my mother-in-law's initials. Her name is Hortense G. Murdoch.
Well, sure. That was the only name in the book with those initials. That's why I came here.
Well, that was a very clever piece of detective work. Yes, of course it's her trunk. I don't know why I didn't recognize it.
Well, you know, trunks, they kind of look alike.
Yes, that's right. Well, bring it in.
Trunks are funny things, aren't they? You have something valuable in one, and just as likely as not it'll get lost. But put something you don't want in it, like a mother-in-law, and it'll come back every time. You can hardly blame Albert for being upset, especially since Louise wanted to open the trunk to look for possible clues. But Albert managed to get Louise out of the house, then put the trunk onto the trunk rack of his car and started out. Several hours later, he was at the receiving platform of an all-night storage warehouse in New York.
Yes, mister? Can I help you?
Pardon me, but you store trunks here, don't you?
Yeah, sure. We store anything in here. You want to store that trunk you got there?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, I'll make out a ticket. Now, what's your name?
Williams, John Williams.
The address?
313 Maple Street.
Yeah, but what city, mister? What city?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore. Okay. Charge is $3 a month. How long you want to pay for?
Quite a while. I'll be leaving the country and...
Well, what is it? Anything wrong, mister?
Oh, dear. I only seem to have $6 with me.
Well, that'll pay for 2 months. Then we'll send you a bill.
No, that won't be necessary. I'll send you a money order in a few days. I may be out of the country for several years.
Okay. Leave the trunk there. I'll take care of it. And here's your receipt. Just put the number of it in your letter when you send the money.
I will. I won't forget. Good night.
Good night. Hey, Mr. Williams. Mr. He's gone. There's a receipt on the platform where he dropped it. The nervous type. Oh, well, I suppose they can forward it to him from Baltimore.
When Albert found he'd lost his receipt for the trunk, he was badly upset at first. That meant he couldn't send any money for future storage charges. But after all, there was no identification inside it, and he'd rubbed Mother's initials off the outside this time. So how could anyone trace it back to him? Especially since they'd be looking for him in Baltimore. So in a few weeks, Albert was himself again. Except for a nightmare once in a while.
After all, what do I know about you, Albert? You may have criminal tendencies. I'm going to protect my daughter from you. Yes, I've come back and you're not going to get rid of me. Do you hear me, Albert? I've come back to stay.
No, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I can't.
Albert!
No.
Albert, wake up.
Oh, what is it, Louise?
You were moaning in your sleep, dear. You must have been having a nightmare.
Oh, yes, I was. But it's not important. It's just that midnight snack I had. Go back to sleep, darling.
But as the months passed, so did the nightmares. And finally, Albert was his old cheerful self again.
Good evening, dear. How are you?
I'm all right, Albert.
Fine. Say, I bumped into George Horton and his wife while on the way home, and they asked us to come to the charity bazaar tonight.
That was very nice of them, Albert.
Oh, why don't we go? There'll be an auction, a raffle, supper, dancing. It'll do you good.
I know, but somehow I don't feel like meeting people.
But you can't go on this way, Louise, cutting yourself off from the world.
I've been unfair to you, haven't I, Albert? Keeping you home night after night all these months.
Oh, why, darling, you know I've been perfectly happy. It's been so nice. Just the two of us.
You've been perfectly wonderful, Albert, and I'm afraid I've been acting very selfishly. All right, I'll go to that charity affair tonight.
Now, what am I bid for this beautiful antique lamp? Do I hear $1? Do I hear $1?
I'll bid $1.
Ah, there we have a lady with a real sense of beauty. Now, do I hear $2? Do I hear $2?
Well, good evening, George.
Well, hello, Albert. Hello, Louise.
Hello, George.
Gee, I'm sure glad you two came. Missed you both a lot these past months.
Well, I hope you'll be seeing more of us. Hey, we've got quite a crowd here tonight.
Oh, yeah. We hope to raise quite a bit of money. Say, that auctioneer's a genius. Come on, let's get a little closer.
All right.
Now, that gentleman over there, the one with the superb eye for beauty, bids $5 for this lamp. Do I hear $5.50? Your last chance, ladies and gentlemen, going at $5 once, going twice, sold to the gentleman in the tweed suit, and very fortunate he is.
That lamp couldn't have cost more than $3 when it was new. Well, now we come to the raffle.
The raffle?
Yeah, the raffle for a mystery prize donated by yours truly, George Horton.
Oh.
Better let me sell you a few tickets, Albert. They're only 50 cents each.
No, thanks, George. We just came to be sociable.
Better take a chance. No telling what you might win.
Now, next, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the feature of the evening. A raffle for a mystery prize, which I have hidden here beneath this canvas cover. Now, I'm going to lift this cover and show you a locked trunk. Now, take a good look at it.
Trunk. Oh, no. It can't be. She's come back again.
Yes, Albert, I've come back. And I'm going to stay for good this time.
Oh, no.
Now, this is no ordinary trunk, ladies and gentlemen. It was donated by a gentleman who bought it for storage charges. Now, who knows what it contains? Perhaps the crown jewels of old Russia. Or better still, a case of scotch. Now, take a good look at it and try to guess.
Albert, you're so pale. Is there anything wrong?
No, of course not. George, where did you get this trunk?
Oh, that big storage place in New York. You know, on the east side. Somebody did keep up the storage charges on it, and all the notifications they mailed came back,
Yes, I see.
Now that you've seen all the prizes, and particularly seen this prize, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're going to want to buy not one, not two, but half a dozen chances each. What can be in it? Guessing is half the fun. Well, now we're all going to adjourn for supper, and immediately after supper, the big drawing will be held. So buy your chances now and win yourself a trunk full of surprise and pleasure.
Well, Albert, changed your mind about buying a chance or two?
Yes, George. Yes, I have. I'll take all you've got.
Albert, I don't understand you. You bought every chance that was left on that trunk.
Louise, I know what I'm doing.
What on earth do you want with an old trunk that looks a lot like Mother's trunk, doesn't it?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
But of course it does, Albert. It's the same make and color. It has the same dent there. But it couldn't be.
Of course not. The idea is absurd.
Darling, you're acting so strangely. You didn't eat any supper, and
For
now
heaven's sakes, Louise, will you stop nagging me?
I'm sorry, Albert.
Hello. Feeling pretty sure you're going to win it with all those tickets, huh, Albert?
I hope so.
I knew the mystery of it would get you. Say, I've even got a ticket on it myself. So you'll have some competition.
Oh, I'll win it. I've got to.
Well, I did my best. I picked out the heaviest trunk the place had for sale. So I don't want the winner to blame me if he doesn't like what he finds.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for the feature of the evening, the drawing for the locked mystery trunk. Now, my assistant has put all the ticket stubs in the wire wheel, and so I spin it thus. Round and round it goes, and where it stops, nobody knows. Now, the stubs are thoroughly mixed, and I stop the wheel so that this lovely young lady may reach in and withdraw the number of the lucky winner. Now, will you open your eyes, please, and read the number that you have drawn?
Number 38.
Number 38. Number 38. Number 38 is the winner. Is the holder of number 38 here, please?
Yes, I have it. I've won. I've won.
Well, good for you, Albert.
Congratulations, sir. May I have your ticket, please, so that I may compare it with the stub that the young lady drew?
Yes, of course. Here it is.
Thank you. Now, I place the ticket and the stub together, and we...
What is it?
I'm very sorry. I'm afraid an error has occurred.
An error? What do you mean?
The young lady misread the winning number. It is number 33, not 38.
No, you're lying. I won. The trunk's mine.
Now, I'm sorry, but mistakes will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I must make a correction. The winning number is 33. Is the holder of number 33 present?
Yes. Well, that's my number. Well, hard luck, Albert. But I guess you don't win after all.
Now, may I have your ticket, please?
Sure, here.
Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the lucky winner, purely by chance, is the gentleman who donated the prize, Mr. George Horton. And congratulations to you, sir. And I hope you'll open the trunk now and let the rest of us know what we missed out on.
I certainly will.
No, he can't open it.
You haven't got the key.
No, but I have a bunch here that I borrowed from a locksmith, and one of them's bound to work.
You mustn't open it. George, I'll buy that trunk from you.
Well, I don't want to sell. Hey, I want to know what's in the trunk. That's where the fun comes in.
I'll give you $100. You can't refuse.
100? Well, if you want it that bad, all right.
I'll give you my check tomorrow.
Yeah, but there's one condition.
Condition?
Yeah, that you open the trunk here so we can all see what's in it.
Oh, no, I won't do it.
Well, then the deal's off. Sorry, Albert, but curiosity has the better of me.
George, please listen to me.
Sorry, Albert, sorry. Just a minute, everybody. As soon as I find one of these keys at bed, I'll...
Do I come back, Albert? And I have. You should have known I would.
Oh, no.
Darling, you're not well. Let's go home.
No use. It's just no use.
What on earth do you mean?
You will never be rid of me, Albert. Never. I've come back to stay this time.
I think I've got it. Yeah, this key seems to be turning.
Wait.
What is it?
You mustn't open it.
Oh, Albert, fun's fun, but after all...
I had something to tell you. She's beaten me. I can't keep it hidden any longer.
That's right, Albert. Tell them it's the only way you can ever be rid of me. Go on. Tell them.
Well, Albert?
I did it. I killed her.
Did what? Killed who?
Albert, what are you talking about?
I killed Louise's mother. Her body is in that trunk.
Oh, no.
Albert, that's a very poor joke.
Oh, it's no joke. I thought I could get rid of her, but I can't. She keeps coming back, and coming back, and coming back, and I can't stand it any longer. Go on, open the trunk now. You'll see I'm telling the truth. Go on, open it.
All right, we will. Please stand back, everybody. Come on, stand back, all of you. Yes, back. Auctioneer, help me, will you?
Yes, sure, Mr. Wharton. I'll undo this catch now. There. All right, now lift up.
Albert, this trunk. Why, there's nothing in it but old books.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Poor Albert. He let himself be fooled by the wrong trunk. Maybe it was his guilty conscience. What happened to him? Why, he's getting the best of attention these days in a small but comfortable room with bars over the windows. The only trouble is the bars won't keep his mother-in-law out. She comes in every night to talk to him. So if you're ever tempted to... Oh, you're getting off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this time.
You've just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. Listen next week over most of these mutual stations to a tale titled
Murder is no accident.
Another Tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler is presented by the Mutual Network from our New York studios. Russ Dunbar speaks.
Pepsi-Cola, it's the spot. 12 full ounces, that's a lot. Twice as much for a nickel, too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you. Nickel, 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 trickle, trickle, nickel, 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 trickle, 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 nickel, 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 trickle, trickle.
This episode from the life of Sherlock Holmes will be transmitted to our men and women overseas by shortwave and through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And if you don't mind, I'd like to suggest something that you might share with your friends. And that something is a glass of sherry before dinner. Naturally, a glass of Petri California sherry. I say Petri sherry because it's the perfect before dinner wine. You couldn't think of a better way to begin a meal. That Petri sherry has a beautiful, inviting color, like dark amber. And for flavor, well, you've heard sherry described many times as having a rich, nut-like flavor. But if you want to learn for the first time what those words rich and nut-like really mean, you just taste Petri sherry. It's wonderful. Serve Petri sherry by itself, or serve it with hors d'oeuvres or those little cocktail sandwiches. And incidentally, if you prefer your sherry dry, not sweet, just ask your wine merchant for Petri Pale Dry Sherry. Well, the important thing to remember is if you want sherry, you want Petri sherry, because that means good sherry. And now let's look in on our genial friend and good host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. Punctual to the minute, as usual.
Never keep a doctor waiting, I always say. Particularly Dr. Watson.
Draw up a chair, my boy.
Thank you.
That's it.
All ready to tell us the Sherlock Holmes adventure of the speckled band, Doctor?
Yes, I'm all ready, Mr. Bartell.
Say, Doctor, just what does a speckled band mean?
You wait until I've told you the story, young fellow, my lad. You'll find out for yourself.
Sorry. The floor is all yours, Doctor.
The adventure of the speckled band began on a rainy April morning in 1883. An urgent call from one of my patients had kept me up most of the night before, and in consequence I came down to my breakfast rather later than usual to find that Holmes had already left our house some hours earlier. As I sat there reading the morning paper and consuming my 2 lightly boiled eggs, there was a knock at the door. It opened to disclose a typical example of the British working man, a bag of tools in one hand and a grimy cap in the other, as he spoke to me from the doorway.
You sent for me, Mr. Holmes?
I'm not Mr. Holmes.
Oh, beg your pardon, Governor. But I've come to mend the guest bracket over the mantelpiece.
Oh? What's wrong with it?
I've got a leak in it.
Oh, leak? Well, what's wrong with your work?
Yes, sir. Hope I won't be disturbing you,
No,
sir.
no, that's all right, my man. Don't mind me.
Oh, dear. Very untidy man, Mr. Holmes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can't help noticing the mess this room's in. I've heard say he was as tidy as any when he started, but he learned bad habits from a bloke what lived with him. Dr. Watson, I think his name is.
You impertinent fellow. How dare you talk to me like that? I've got a good... Oh, where does he go to? Here! You come out of there! That's Mr. Holmes's room.
Don't be angry with me, Watson.
What?
Just slipping out of these grimy rags into a dressing gown.
Good gracious me. So was you, Holmes. Well, upon my soul, I'd never recognized you, but why the disguise?
A case, my dear Watson, a case. One of those small problems which a trusting public occasionally confides to my investigation. To the British workman, old chap, all doors are open. His costume is unostentatious and his habits are sociable. Tool bag is an excellent passport, and a tawny moustache will secure the cooperation of maids.
But what's the case, Holmes?
Well, modest little drama of life in the kitchen, one of those seemingly inconsequential affairs, and yet, Watson, the honor of a duchess is at stake.
Duchess?
A mad world, my masters, a mad world. Now I feel a little more comfortable. Let's return to the sitting room, shall we? A strong cup of tea would be most acceptable.
Oh, I wish you'd tell me about the Duchess and life in the kitchen, Holmes.
Some other time, old fellow, some other time. At the moment, suppose you tell me what you know about Miss Helen Stoner. I received a letter from her this morning in which she informed me that she would be calling here at 11, and also that she was a friend of yours.
Helen Stoner? Oh, yes. A charming girl indeed.
Pour me a cup of tea, Watson, and tell me about her.
Well, I befriended her at the time of the tragic death of her sister 2 years ago. I told you about the case, don't you remember? The sudden death of Violet Stoner at an old house in Stoke Moran.
Oh, yes. It all comes back to me now. There was an inquest, wasn't there, with a string of stupid, ineffective witnesses?
Huh? I was one of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, old fellow. Then you were the exception, of course. Wait a minute. Let me see. I docketed the evidence on the case. Where is it? My scrapbook. Here we are. Let me see. Yes, S. Salisbury, Hatchet, Murder, Lord St. Simon. Here we are. Stoke Moran. Yes, I remember the affair well now. The villain of the piece was Dr. Grimsby Roylott, wasn't he?
Yes, a dreadful fellow. He's the stepfather of the 2 girls. Violet, the one that died so mysteriously. Helen, the one who's coming here to see you.
Dr. Roylott has a pretty record. 55 years of age, killed his Kitmagar in India, once in an insane asylum, married money, wife died, distinguished surgeon. Well, Watson, I wonder what the distinguished surgeon has been up to now.
Oh, some deviltry, I fear.
Why do you say that?
You remember that Miss Violet Stoner's death followed close upon the announcement of her engagement?
Yes.
Well, I met Miss Helen Stoner on the streets a few weeks ago. She told me that she'd just become engaged to a young fellow in the army who was leaving for the Far East. She was very upset at the thought of being alone with her stepfather at Stoke Moran.
Oh, naturally it was. Dr. Roylott stands to lose a considerable sum of money in the event of his stepdaughter's marriage.
Yes, they both had a trust fund which he administered only as long as the girls were unmarried. That fact was brought out at the coroner's inquest 2 years ago. But if Roylott did poison the other stepdaughter, and I'm pretty convinced that he did, it seems unlikely that he'd try it again. 2 sudden deaths in the same household could hardly pass the coroner.
Oh, no, my dear Watson. You're making the mistake of putting your normal brain into Roylott's abnormal being.
Oh, that must be Miss Stoner now.
Yes, let me see. It's precisely 11 o'clock. Well, let's see what we can do for her.
Well, I hope you can help her, Holmes. She's an extremely nice girl.
Come in. Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
There's a Miss Helen Stoner to see you, sir. She says she has an appointment.
Show her in, please, Mrs. Hudson.
Aye, sir. Come in, my dear.
Thank you.
Miss Stoner, I'm so glad to see you again.
How do you do, Dr. Watson? And this must be your friend.
Yes, Miss Stoner, I'm Sherlock Holmes. Sit down by the fire, won't you?
Yes, please do, my dear. Hello, you're trembling with cold.
It's not cold that makes me shiver. Tell me, Mr. Holmes, has my stepfather, Dr. Grimsby Roylott, been here?
No, he hasn't.
He saw me in the street. I dashed by him in a hansom cab, but he saw me. Our eyes met and he waved me to stop, but I came here as fast as I could.
Very sensible move. Dr. Watson has already given me several hints as to your present problem, as well as having refreshed my memory as to the circumstances of your sister's death.
My problem is a simple enough one, Mr. Holmes. I'm waiting to be murdered.
No, my dear
please
girl.
be a trifle more explicit, Miss Stoner.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. My fiancé is leaving for the Far East today. When he leaves, I shall be alone with my stepfather at Stoke Moran. He plans to murder me just as he murdered my sister.
What makes you say that, Miss Stoner?
Many strange things have happened recently. For instance, he's just moved me into the bedroom in which my sister died.
Well, what reason did he give for changing your room?
That my old one needed repainting. It didn't need it, but Dr. Roylott did need to move me into that horrible room. And other things have happened. I've heard the music again.
Music? What music?
My sister first heard it a few days before she died. I heard it myself on that dreadful night she breathed her last. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm terrified.
Don't worry, my dear. Please don't worry anymore. You have friends to help you now. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No, of course not.
Now, this music. Does it seem to come from inside the house or outside?
Well, it's hard to say. It sounds so faint.
What's it like?
A sort of soft droning sound.
Like a flute or a pipe?
Yes, it reminds me of native music I heard during my childhood in India.
India, eh? Oh.
There's one other thing that puzzles me, Mr. Holmes.
Now, what's that?
My sister's dying words. As she lay in my arms, she gasped out 2 words.
Now, what were they?
Banned and speckled. You remember that evidence from the inquest, don't you, Dr. Watson?
Yes, I do. I couldn't make head or tail of it. So?
Banned, speckled, Indian music. Miss Stoner, do you sleep with your door and windows fastened?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, but so did poor Violet. It didn't save her, though.
What did you gather from your sister's dying allusion to the band, the speckled band?
Well, sometimes I thought it was merely the wild talk of delirium, and sometimes that it referred to a band of people.
Oh, yes.
I remember that there were some gypsies encamped quite near us at the time of Violet's death.
Gypsies, eh?
Yes, and it occurred to me that the spotted, gaily coloured kerchiefs, which so many of them wear over their heads, might have suggested the unusual adjective which my sister used.
Miss Stoner, how long is it since you heard this strange music that you've told us about?
I heard it last night.
And your fiancé leaves today, you say?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Well, Miss Stoner, I shall do everything I can to help you. If we were to come to Stoke Moran today, would it be possible to see over your rooms without the knowledge of your stepfather?
I think so. He told me this morning that he intended to take a late train home tonight.
Ah, that's splendid. Watson, out with the timetable, old fellow, and look up the trains to Stoke Moran.
Right you are, Holmes.
That's my stepfather. I know it is. Oh, yes. Yes, there he is on the doorstep. Oh, Mr. Holmes, he's followed me. Oh, what shall I do if he finds me here?
Don't worry, Miss Stoner. Please don't worry. There's a private exit through that room there. Watson, show her the way, will you?
Come along with me, my dear young lady.
And you will come down today, Mr. Holmes?
Certainly, my dear Miss Stoner. I'll telegraph you the time of our arrival. Goodbye and courage, my dear.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes, and thank you.
Come along, Miss Stoner, quickly.
Come in. Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
It's a gentleman, sir. I told him you wouldn't see anyone without an appointment, but he...
Out of the way, woman!
Now push me like that. I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes.
That's all right, Mrs. Hudson. You can leave us.
What kind of gentleman does he call himself pushing an old lady?
So you're Sherlock Holmes.
You have the advantage of me, sir. Your name is,
My name, sir, is Roylott. Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran.
Oh, yes, of course. A charming place, I hear, and obviously good for the lungs.
You won't trifle with me if you know what's good for you.
Watson, there you are. And how was the experiment?
Very successful, Holmes. Good day to you, Dr. Roylott. I haven't seen you since I gave evidence at your stepdaughter's inquest.
Yes, I remember you, Dr. Watson. Now listen to me, you two. My stepdaughter's been here. I've faced her. What's she been saying to you?
A little cold for this time of the year, isn't it?
You answer me!
I hear that the crocuses promise well.
You dare to try and put me off, do you? I know you, you scoundrel. You're Holmes the meddler.
Am I?
Holmes the busybody.
I believe that a man should occupy his time.
Holmes the Scotland Yard Jack in office.
When you go out, close the door, won't you? There's a draft.
I'll go when I've had my say. Keep your nose out of my affairs, do you hear?
Oh, yes, my hearing is excellent, thank you, and your diction and delivery most forceful. But time flies, my dear doctor, time flies, and life has its duties as well as its pleasures. Goodbye.
Insolent rascal. Here, see this poker?
Oh, the fire doesn't need poking, thank you, Doctor. But I should be obliged if you'd put some more coal on for me.
You laugh at me. You don't know my strength. Look. There. Your poker's bent double. And that's what I'll do to both of you. If you don't keep out of my affairs.
I had a presentiment that he'd slam the door.
Phew. He's an ugly customer, eh, Holmes?
Literally as well as figuratively. Watson, I'd be much obliged if you'd get your revolver. It may prove to be an excellent argument with a gentleman who twists iron pokers into knots.
The fellow's amazingly strong. Just look at it.
I don't want to appear flamboyant, but, there we are.
Great Scott, Holmes. You straightened the poker out again.
Yes, it was utterly useless in its former shape. And now, Watson, the timetable will catch the next fast train to Stoke Moran.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm so relieved that you've come. But don't you think my stepfather might have followed you down here?
To take that chance, Miss Stoner, a few hours' delay might mean the difference between our life and death. It was imperative that we examine this bedroom of yours before Dr. Roylott returns.
Anyway, my dear, you mustn't worry any more. We're here in your house, and we're going to take good care of you, no matter what harm befalls you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Watson.
So this is the room in which your sister died, is it? It's much as I pictured it.
And Dr. Roylott's room adjoins this one, you say, Miss Turner?
Yes, Doctor, on that side. The room which adjoins it on the other side is my regular bedroom.
The one that's being so conveniently painted, eh?
Yes.
Well, let's examine this room. No trapdoors or sliding panels, I suppose.
It sounds solid enough, Holmes.
Yes, I think it is. Hello, what's this? Are you aware that this bed is clamped to the floor, Miss Stoner?
Why, no, Mr. Holmes, I didn't know that.
What an extraordinary thing.
Was the bed in your other room anchored also?
I don't think it was.
Very illuminating. And this bell pull hanging against the wall above your bed.
Oh, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, but if you want to ring.
There's another one on the other wall over there.
Now, why this one?
Well, I don't know. My stepfather made a number of changes after we came here.
Yes, quite a burst of activity, apparently. And it took some strange shapes.
Why are you standing on the bed, Holmes?
I'm curious, my dear fellow. Aha. It may interest you to know that this bell rope is fastened to a brass hook. There's no wire attachment. It's a dummy.
A dummy? But why?
There's a small screen above it. It's a ventilator, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Yes. A ventilator leading into your stepfather's room. Curious. I notice there's no means of opening the ventilator on this side. It can only be operated from your stepfather's room next door. I wonder if you'd mind taking us in there.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. Follow me.
What do you make of it, Holmes?
There's devil's work afoot, old chap.
Here we are, Mr. Holmes.
It's much the same as the other room. A bit bigger, perhaps.
That large safe against the wall seems to be an unusual piece of bedroom furniture. What is it, Miss Stoner?
My stepfather's business papers.
Oh, yes.
You've seen inside it, then?
Only once, some years ago. I remember that it was full of documents.
What's this saucer of milk doing on top of it? Does Dr. Roylott keep a cat?
No, but he does have a cheetah and a baboon as pets. He brought them with him from India.
Well, Holmes, a cheetah is just a big cat.
True, but I doubt if a saucer of milk would go very far in satisfying the appetite of a cheetah. Well, I think I've seen enough. This matter is too serious for hesitation. Your life may depend upon your following of my instructions, Miss Homer.
I'll do anything you say, Mr. Holmes, anything.
Is that village inn I see through the trees from this window?
Yes, the Queen's Arms.
Your bedroom windows would be visible from there.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Very well, then. Watson and I will go there now and obtain accommodations. When your stepfather returns, you must confine yourself to your room on the pretense of a headache. You follow me?
Perfectly.
When Dr. Roylott returns for the night, you must open your bedroom window and put your lamp on the sill as a signal to us at the inn. Then withdraw quietly to your usual bedroom, the one that's being painted. I'm sure that you could manage there for one night.
Of course. But what will you do?
When we get your signal, Dr. Watson and I will come here and spend the night in your dead sister's room. We are going to solve this mystery of the dummy bell rope and the unusual ventilator and the strange music in the night.
You'll hear the remainder of Dr. Watson's story in just a second, so I'm just going to point out that at any really important dinner, you know, like when diplomats get together, you'll find wine on the table. Because for years it's been a known fact that good wine makes good food taste better. Prove that to yourself tomorrow night by having your dinner together with a glass of Petri wine. If you prefer a red wine for any meat or meat dish, try a Petri California Burgundy. That rich, hearty red Petri Burgundy is really out of this world. Now, if you'd rather have a subtle, intriguing white wine, let's say to go with chicken or fish, then try Petri California Sauterne. But Sauterne or Burgundy, to make sure it's good, make sure it's Petri, won't you? Well, Doctor, it's a rattling good story so far. What happened next? You went to the local inn, I guess, and waited for that lantern to appear in the bedroom window at Dr. Roylott's house?
That's right, Mr. Bartell. We had an early dinner at the Queen's Arms and then retired to our upstairs bedroom and sat there side by side, puffing away at our pipes, our eyes straining through the darkness for that telltale lantern to give us the signal that there was dangerous work ahead for us. As we sat there discussing the various aspects of the case, I remember that Holmes was very concerned about my own safety.
Watson, I really have some scruples about taking you with me tonight. This is an infernally dangerous business.
What about that poor girl, alone in the house with that fiend Roylott?
I can handle the case by myself, old chap.
I'm coming with you, Holmes. You speak of danger. We haven't seen more in those rooms than was visible to me.
No, but possibly I've deduced a little more, and I imagine you saw all that I did.
No, I saw nothing remarkable except the bell rope, and what purpose that could answer, I confess, is more than I can imagine.
You saw the ventilator, too.
Yes, but I don't think it's such an unusual thing to have an opening between two rooms. It's so small that a mouse could hardly pass through it.
True, but at least you will admit there was a curious sequence of coincidences. A ventilator is constructed. A bell cord is hung from it. A lady sleeps in a bed directly below the ventilator, a bed that is anchored to the floor. The lady dies.
Well, I begin to see what you're driving at, Holmes. Look. There's the lantern in Miss Toner's window.
It's our signal, all right. Come on, Watson. Our night's vigil begins.
What a foul night.
Foul night for foul business, Watson. Come on, through these laurel bushes. It's only another 50 yards to the house.
Yes, the lantern's still burning away in the bedroom window.
Yes, all the other lights are out.
Including the one in Dr. Roylott's room. He must have gone to sleep.
To bed, possibly, Watson, but not, I think, to sleep.
Great heavens, Holmes. Look at that frightful creature leaping about in the moonlight. It looks like some hideous child.
That's Dr. Roylott's pet baboon.
But it looks positively human.
Yes, probably a great deal more so than its master. Shh. They're directly below the window now. This ivy provides a most convenient ladder. I'll go up first.
Careful, Holmes, careful. Wait a minute. I hope the thing's strong enough to hold us both. We look pretty stupid on our backs in the mud. Get a hand with you, Holmes. I can't quite get my leg up over this window ledge. Oh, thanks, old boy. Oh, say, phew.
Now to close the window shutters.
This room looks exactly like the same as it did this afternoon.
least sound would be fatal to our plans. Keep the lamp covered, so that if the ventilator is open from Dr. Roylett's room, no light will show from in there. That's it.
Why are you carrying that stick, Holmes?
I'm prepared for a visitor that I expect before the night is over. A visitor who will herald his entrance with faint music from an Indian pipe.
You mean the music is a signal?
Exactly, old fellow. The signal to an accomplice who can enter a room with locked doors, an accomplice who kills and leaves no trace.
You mean that...
Shh, no more talking, Watson. I'll sit on the edge of the bed here. You sit on that chair. Have your revolver ready in case you should need it.
Right you are, Holmes.
Have the lantern ready, too. When I shout now, turn the light full on the top of the bell rope. You understand?
Yes, perfectly.
Good. Now we must wait. Perhaps for some time. But don't go to sleep, Watson. Don't go to sleep. Your very life may depend on it. Watson.
Yes?
You're not smoking, are you?
No, Holmes.
I smell tobacco smoke.
Must be drifting through the ventilator.
Exactly. Dr. Roylett is up.
Look. There's a tiny shot of light showing up in the ventilator.
Shh.
Listen. There's the music.
Yes. Heralding the messenger of death. Have your lantern ready, Watson.
Now, Watson, now! Great heavens, it's a snake slithering down the bell rope. You can't kill it with that stick, Holmes. Out of the way. Let me get a shot at it.
I'm going to drive it back the way it came. Get out.
There it goes. Back through the ventilator. Oh. What a fiendish plan. Scott, what's that?
I think the devil has turned on its master. Come on, Watson, into Dr. Roylett's room. Dr. Roylett! Dr. Roylett! Dr.
Good Lord, Holmes. Look at him sprawled on the bed. Look at his eyes.
Yes. And see what is coiled round his forehead.
It's the snake.
Yes, the band. The speckled band.
He's dead, Holmes.
Yes, he's been bitten by the deadliest snake in the world, the Indian swamp adder. His deadly fangs produce death within 10 seconds. Well, Watson, violence does in truth recoil upon the violent, and the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another.
What should we do now, Holmes?
We must remove the macabre headgear from the dead doctor and return the snake to its den. And I suggest that we tell Miss Stoner that there's no more danger under this roof. After that, we can turn the matter over to the local police. Our work is done.
Holmes, Dr. Watson, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you brought me back into Baker Street.
Stoner, it would have been inhuman to leave you in that house of horror and death. We have a spare bedroom, and Mrs. Hudson is a motherly and understanding woman, and I can assure you that Dr. Watson and I will be delighted to have you stay with us here until you've decided on your future plans.
Yes, of course we will, my dear. As a matter of fact, it'd be rather refreshing to have a touch of youth about the place.
You're both so kind. Mr. Holmes, I think it's wonderful how you foiled my stepfather's devilish plans.
Yes, wasn't it a remarkable example of logical deduction?
No, it wasn't, old fellow. At first, your mention of the gypsies, Miss Stoner, and the use of the word band put me on an entirely wrong scent. However, when we examined the fatal room, I drew the obvious conclusion.
You mean the dummy bell rope, the ventilator, and the immovable bed?
Yes, old fellow. It instantly gave rise to the suspicion that the rope was there as a bridge for something coming through the ventilator and traveling to the bed. I once thought of a snake. When I saw the saucer of milk on top of the safe, my suspicions crystallized into certainties.
Oh, it was a fiendish plot.
Yes, an extremely clever one, too.
Exactly.
My stepfather must have trained the snake to return to him when he played the music.
Yes, he put it through the ventilator with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week, but sooner or later she must fall a victim.
Thank heaven I came to you, Mr. Holmes.
Amen to that, Miss Stoner.
You know, Holmes, if you hadn't lashed at the snake with your stick, I bet it wouldn't have turned back on its master.
True, old chap. In that way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Roylett's death. But I can't say it's a fact that's likely to weigh too heavily on my conscience.
Doctor, that was quite a fascinating story. You know something? I'm not exactly a coward, but no kidding, my toes really curl when I get mixed up with snakes.
Oh, you're not alone in that respect, Mr. Bartell. I must admit that I like to have a revolver and at least 20 feet between me and any snake that wants to cross my path.
Well, if you want a revolver in 20 feet, I'll take a cannon in 20 miles.
It's fortunate that you're a wine expert, Mr. Bartell, not a detective. I'm afraid you wouldn't, shall we say, find detecting to your liking?
We certainly shall say it. And incidentally, I'm not a wine expert, Doctor. All I know about wine is that it either tastes good or it doesn't. And I also know that Petri wine always tastes good. The Petri family sees to that. The name Petri on the label is the personal assurance of the Petri family that every drop of wine in that bottle is good wine. And they know how to make it good because they've been making fine wine for generations. Handing down from father to son, every secret, every skill of the winemaker's art. Yes, the Petri family took time to bring you good wine. That's why, no matter what type of wine you wish, you can't go wrong with a Petri wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes story are you planning to tell us next week?
Now, let me see. Now, next week, Mr. Bartell, I think I'll tell you an adventure that took place at a gambling casino in the south of France. It's a strange story of sudden tragedy and death. I call it The Adventure of the 00.
Sounds swell. We'll all be listening.
Yeah, now, Mr. Bartell, before I go, I want to say that every one of our friends bought war bonds to help our boys win the war. Now let's all buy victory bonds to help bring our boys back home again. Yes, and let's buy victory bonds to make sure that the men who were wounded will get the finest possible care. Those same victory bonds will help make the GI Bill of Rights a success, too. And they'll help provide for the families of those men who gave everything, including their lives. The men of our armed forces finished their job. Now let's finish ours. Buy victory bonds.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and is an adaptation of the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. This is Harry Bartell saying good night for the Petri family. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Halo, everybody, halo. Halo is the shampoo that glorifies your hair. So halo, everybody, halo. For softer, lively curls and brighter, sparkling hair. So hello, everybody, halo. Halo shampoo, halo.
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better-tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine. Yes, right now, a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Robert Taylor in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Merry Christmas, Jerry. How's the real estate business?
Kind of early with your greeting, aren't you, Sam?
Well, I got to get them in sometime. I may not see you again until next Christmas.
If this real estate racket gets any crazy, I'll be dead by next Christmas. I'm glad you could get up here, though, Sam.
What's on your mind, Jerry?
You'll probably shoot me when you hear it, Sam, because I'm probably nuts. But But doggone it, you're a detective and you're my pal, and I just had to tell somebody.
Well, you sound like it's serious.
That's just it. I don't know what it is, Sam, but... Now listen, you know we're agents for a group of houses up in Cypress Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Those places that were started before the war never got finished.
Oh, yeah.
All they got in were the foundations, just concrete and a couple of beams. Well, they've been finished now. In fact, I'm putting up for rent on the last of them today.
Well, what do you want? Police protection from the mob?
Listen, Sam, this house that I'm talking about, it's got a number now, 2256. But before, when the men went back to work on it about 3 months ago, well, they just started when the foreman on the job brought me a shoebox that he'd found up on a beam. And this box had what do you call it, a manuscript in it, a story kind of, all written out.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me the thing. I read it. I didn't think much about it. I put it in my desk. But the other day, and I happened to drive by there, I saw the number on the house and what the house looked like. I thought of this manuscript. Well, I don't like it. That's all. There's something funny about it.
What's funny about it?
Well, mind you, this thing was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. House was only just started building.
All right.
Well, listen, Sam, I want to read it to you if you got the time, and you'll see what I mean.
All right, shoot.
Now, here's how it begins. To whom it may concern. My reasons for setting down on paper what follows here will be abundantly clear.
Will be abundantly clear to anyone into whose possession it may fall. First, let me say that I'm a very ordinary person. My name is James A. Woods. I'm 35 years old. By profession, a chemical engineer. My wife, Ellen, was a school teacher when I met and married her in Indiana 7 years ago. There's nothing in the past life of either one of us to suggest remotely any cause or reason for the dreadful thing that has invaded our lives. Our married life has been in no way different from that of millions of other average, reasonably happy, and congenial families. 3 months ago, I was ordered by my firm to take charge of a rather minor project in Los Angeles, Hollywood to be exact. The order was a sudden one. There'd been no time to secure accommodations, and conditions being what they are, the inevitable result was that until day before yesterday, we'd been living in the cramped quarters of one of those characteristic California motels. Needless to say, most of our spare time had been devoted to a search for something more permanent and comfortable, but the fruits of these efforts had been financially and in every other way a geometrical progression of discouragement. Until last Saturday afternoon, only 4 days before Christmas. We were driving into town on our way to a movie when Ellen saw it.
Jim, look.
What?
That sign in front of that real estate office.
Oh, yeah.
But don't you see what it says? For rent, furnished, 2-bedroom house, close in, immediate occupancy.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Aren't you going to stop?
Oh, Ellen, you know a sign like that. It mean right out in plain sight in front of a real estate office.
Oh, yeah, but Jim...
Either they want $600 a month...
We'll never know until we ask.
If it's any good at all, there are probably 50 people fighting for it right back there now.
Well, honey, there's no harm in trying now, is there?
You really want to go back?
Oh, it's probably foolish, but what can we lose?
Okay.
Oh, darling, come on, cheer up. How do you know? Maybe our luck's changed. Maybe fate's going to give us a nice new house for a Christmas present.
We're sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Oh, yeah, I hung it outside just this minute.
Is the house available?
Why, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do you do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to rain.
Yes, so it does, doesn't it? Well, it was one of those things. The real estate agent had just been authorized to rent the place by mail that morning, and he'd hardly had time to look at it himself and put up his sign when we drove up. It was just an ordinary little California house about halfway up Cypress Canyon, number 2256. Just an ordinary, undistinguished little house. The agent didn't know much about it. Construction on it had been stopped by the war, and it had just been completed and furnished lately. It's been vacant while somebody's estate was being settled, and now it was owned by a bank in Sacramento. Of course, we didn't
got
care
the
about
key in the mail along with the authorization to rent. Only one there is, because you can have duplicates made. It seems to stick a little. Oh, no, there it is.
Doesn't sound as though that door had ever been opened.
Well, a little oil on the hinges will fix that, all right.
Oh, sure.
Now, here's your living room. Furniture's a little dusty, of course. You got to expect that. It's good furniture, though, you see? Benson Brothers.
Yes,
Now, over here's a little den. Panel, you see? Radio, fireplace. Really a very attractive little room, particularly for a man.
Yeah.
Now, the bedroom's off the living room here. Everything's all on one floor, you understand? It's quite nice, I think.
Yes.
You can see you get the morning sun here. There's a view of the canyon through these front windows. You got cross ventilation.
That's about all there was to it. It wasn't the best place in the world. It was small and badly built, but what would you have done? We took it with as little inspection as that. It was the Saturday before Christmas. And the very same evening, we were struggling up the steps from the road with suitcases and boxes and armloads of clothes and all the endless bric-a-brac that people collect and never know they have until they move. Ellen began unpacking, and I began moving things around and taking the worst of the pictures off the wall, doing all the little things that everybody does when they move into a new place and try to give it something of their own personality.
Don't be such a sourpuss. You know, it's a roof over our heads for Christmas. That's more than we ever thought we'd get, isn't it? Now, what in the world are we going to do with those two pictures?
Why don't we just leave them where they are?
Jim, we can't. They're too awful.
Oh, all right, put them in the closet then.
I can't. Both the closets are jammed full.
No, I mean the other one in the little alcove off the den. At least there's a door there. I suppose it's a closet. I don't know.
That isn't a commentary on the housing problem, huh? A woman moving into a house without even knowing where all the closets are. Take the pictures down, will you, honey? Bring them in here.
Okay.
Guess you'll have to help me with this door. I can't get it open.
Let me see it. Well, of course you can't, silly. It's locked. Where are those keys we found in the desk?
Here they are.
No, not this one. Sure, this one won't work. Well, feels like an awful solid door for a closet.
Oh, and that's one solid door in the house.
Well, this one won't do it either. Well, we'll just have to get a locksmith up here on Monday. I'll put the pictures behind the desk, okay?
Yeah, all right. Jim, if you could just help me move this armchair, huh?
Oh, Ellen, will you let it go until tomorrow? You know what time it is?
Oh, but, honey, I'd like to get the place looking just a
Yeah,
little
but it's
bit.
almost midnight. In fact, it's exactly...
What was that?
Tomcat, I guess, out in the brush somewhere.
Sounded near. Hope that doesn't go on all night.
Well, there's much we can do about it. Come on, Ellen. I'm dead tired.
All right, Jim. All right.
Where'd you put the toothpaste, honey?
Right in the medicine cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, we ought to get some firewood tomorrow. You know, a fire in that living room would make all the difference in the world.
Dad, Sunday.
Well, Monday then. Jim, I think red curtains are what we need, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just at least for the living room. Anyway, the ones in there now have just got to come down.
Yeah, I suppose they do.
What do you think of red?
Well, I guess it's all...
Jim.
Some tomcat.
Jim, it sounded in the house.
Oh, now, how could it be in the house, Ellen? We've been over every inch of the house.
Except that closet.
Now, how could a cat or anything else be in the closet that's been locked up for over a year?
I don't know.
It's probably under the house. A wildcat or mountain lion or something. I hear they have them in California.
Jim, I don't like
Well,
it.
neither do I like it, but there's nothing we can do about it tonight.
Oh, maybe we ought to call somebody, the police or some
don't
neighbor.
be silly, Ellen. You act like a kid. Come on, let's go to bed, huh?
Oh, all right. I suppose it is silly. Jimmy, did you lock the door?
Yeah. Can I turn out the lights now?
Yeah. All right.
Good night, Ellen. Sleep tight.
Good night, Jim.
I don't know what time it was. Perhaps an hour, perhaps only a half hour later. My mind was in that hazy borderland between sleep and a dream that's still part of consciousness. Then I was awake. Ellen, are you all right?
Yes.
Did you have a nightmare or something?
No. I heard it, too.
Well, that didn't sound like any cat.
Put on the light.
Yeah.
It seemed to be out there, Jim, in the house somewhere.
I'm going to look into this.
Jim, you be careful.
Come on. Where's my shotgun?
In the den, I think. Jim.
What?
There's something wet.
What? Wet?
Running from under the closet door. Dickie.
Ellen, don't touch it.
I had to. Jim, it's blood.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Robert Taylor in The House in Cypress Canyon. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Robert Taylor as James A. Woods, with Kathy Lewis as his wife Ellen, in The House in Cypress Canyon, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It cannot be too difficult to understand from the foregoing why I've taken the pains to set down in writing the events related here. To find in one's newly rented house a closet which cannot be opened is in itself certainly no great cause for alarm. But to be awakened in the stillness of the night by unearthly cries within that house, to find oozing from under that closet door something that is unquestionably blood, that's another matter. Perhaps others might have been braver than we. Suffice it only to say that we got out of the house in something very close to a panic, and only returned when we had the moral support of two stalwart Los Angeles policemen.
You just moved in here, you say?
That's right, officer. You can see we're still unpacking.
And the place has been empty right along before that?
Yeah, I don't know much about that part of it. You could check all that with the real estate agent, though.
Well, where is this closet?
Oh, it's right in here, officer. And the blood is...
Where? Where's the blood?
Jim?
Officer, I swear to you, there was blood on the floor less than an hour ago. I saw it.
Uh-huh.
It was running out from under that door. We heard that noise, and we got up, and then we saw it. The door was locked.
Locked, huh?
Oh, no.
Well, it seems to be all right now.
Hey, you folks aren't trying to be funny, are you?
Isn't there anything in it?
No, ma'am, there is not.
Look, officer, we're reputable people. You can call my firm. They'll tell you all about me.
There's nothing wrong with this closet. Walls are solid. No trapdoors.
If you think I'm lying...
I didn't say that, mister. Oh, you probably did hear some sort of noise, and you got a little panicky.
What about the blood? It got on my hand.
Isn't there now, is it?
Yes.
Where?
I feel it.
Now, you folks just take it easy. You're liable to hear all kinds of noises up in these canyons at night. You're from the east, you say?
Yeah. I'm sorry, officer.
Ah, that's all right. That's all right. If you have any real trouble, call on us anytime.
All right.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Hey, you ought to have this door fixed. That's enough to scare you.
Yeah, we're going to have it fixed. We didn't say much about it after that. There wasn't much that could be said. The next day I went down to a lot and bought a little Christmas tree and some trimmings, and we tried to pretend we were cheerful, but there was an uneasiness between us that had never been there before. Ellen seemed tired and listless. Several times during the day I noticed her washing her hands with a brush, scrubbing the one that had touched the blood. That night we each took a sleeping pill and went to bed. It was sometime after midnight when I was suddenly wide awake and staring into the darkness. In some way, I knew at once and instinctively what had awakened me. Ellen was not in her bed nor in the room. The nameless thing I feared gripped at my heart until I could scarcely breathe. I opened the bedroom door and started through the house, putting on every light that I could find. There was not much to search, but I searched thoroughly. The living room, the kitchen, bathroom, den, even the garage. And all the time, the dread of looking where I knew at last I must look. For I think I knew from the very first time where I'd find her. It must have been a full minute that I stood before that closet door. Then, I opened it. She stood there rigid, her arms at her sides, her fingers extended like claws. Her hair was over her face, her eyes stared out of it. Her lips were drawn back in a grin like an animal at bay. For a moment, I was frozen with the horror of it. I stretched out my hand. Very deliberately, she turned her head and sunk her teeth until they met into the flesh of my forearm. I'd raised my hand to strike at her, but already she'd relaxed her hold and gone utterly limp. She would have fallen unless I'd caught her. I carried her into the bedroom and laid her on the bed. Strangely, at that moment, my only thought was how I might revive her. Until I saw that it was not a faint, but a sleep that she'd fallen into. Sleep as deep and heavy as though she'd been drugged. And so I left her. But for me, that night, there was no sleep. Yes, Ellen?
What are you doing up so early?
Oh, I got a little restless. Went out to make some coffee.
Oh. Oh, I had the most wonderful sleep. And I feel so rested.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Jim.
What?
What's the matter with your arm?
Oh, I just heard it.
Oh, honey, it's terribly swollen. Let me see it.
No, it's all right, Ellen.
Oh, it isn't all right. You've got to see Dr. Wesley right away.
Sure, I will.
No, you promised me, Jim, that you'll go the first thing this morning. How'd it happen?
Oh, there was a dog.
A dog?
Yeah, I heard him trying to chew through the screen door. I went out to chase him away, and he bit me.
Well, you mean there's all that racket and I didn't even wake up?
No, Ellen, you didn't even wake up. It was clear to me that Ellen knew nothing of what had transpired the night before. I went to my office that morning and made a pretense of going over routine business, if only to restore my mind to some semblance of calm by the sight and sound of common, familiar things. Pain in my arm had become a persistent, dull throbbing. I made a late appointment with Dr. Wesley. He treated my arm with something of an arched eyebrow, and he said,
Well, I've never seen anything quite like it before. That is, such a rapid onset of infection.
It was dark when I left his office. I hadn't realized it was so late. Driving home, my car seemed sluggish until I saw the needle on the dashboard and realized that I was pushing it to the utmost of its speed. I was racing home to prevent something before it was too late, before the darkness conspired against me. For somehow I already knew with certainty that it was the darkness and the night that I had to fear. The curves of the canyon seemed endless. And then the cold fear leaped up inside me. My house, too, was dark. I went slowly up the stone steps in the road, looking, praying for some sign of light or life. There was none. The house was empty. Ellen was gone. I looked with the same self-torturing thoroughness, and in that closet first of all, knowing as I did so that it was hopeless. And so, alone in that empty house, I waited, powerless and helpless now, deadened in thought and will, empty as the house itself, save only for the overwhelming sense of a terrible foreboding. Sometime in the early hours of the morning, I snapped on the radio, shortwave. Why? Surely a minor question now. I only know that I did. And then I heard it.
Car 58, car 58, go to Laurel Canyon, the 4000 block. A report that a man has been injured or attacked. Condition thought to be critical. Ambulance will follow. That is all.
I was there almost before the police, edging my way through the little crowd, staring down at the man lying there in his white uniform under the streetlight.
Yeah, the milkman, poor guy. I heard him scream, but when I got here, he was just like this.
All right, stand back, stand back. Please stand back.
Well, you again.
I heard it on the radio. I lived just down the road.
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Well, take a look. Maybe you can tell us.
He was dead. And he was lying on his back. And his throat had been torn out, as though by the fangs of some wild animal. It is now Christmas Eve. Or rather, Christmas morning, for it's a little after midnight. I've been waiting here in the stillness of this empty house for nearly 24 hours, waiting for the end. Already once tonight I've heard that dreadful wailing cry somewhere in the hills. I've nailed up the closet door, but that I know is childish and useless. My arm is horribly swollen and turning black, but that's nothing. It's another end that I foresee, as surely as other men foresee the rising of the sun. I hear the cry again. It's nearer now. I shall leave these notes in a sealed envelope and put it in a shoebox, in the hope that someone will give credence to these dark and terrible events, if indeed such nameless horrors can ever yield to mortal understanding. As for myself, I feel no longer any fear or even sorrow. Only a desire that the end and the thing that I must do may come soon. And it will be soon, I know. Yes, for there is someone at the door.
Someone at the door. Huh. What do you make of it, Sam?
It's quite a yarn. But what of it?
That's what I thought. Now, listen, that's not quite all of it.
Huh?
Clip to it's a newspaper clipping. Listen. Hollywood, December the 26th. Police reported what was apparently a case of murder and suicide in Cypress Canyon sometime in the early hours of the morning. The victims were James A. Woods, a chemical engineer, and his wife, Ellen. Preliminary investigation indicates that Mrs. Woods was killed by the blast of a shotgun in the hands of her husband, who then turned the weapon upon himself. That she fought desperately for her life, however, was evidenced by the disorder of the room and the severe lacerations inflicted upon her husband about the neck and arms. This is the second tragedy to be reported in Cypress Canyon within 24 hours, the other being the unexplained death of Frank Polanski, a milkman.
Well, no such murders or whatever they were ever occurred, if that's what's worrying. The clipping, well, they have those things printed up, you know.
No, it's not that, Sam. That story was found in an unfinished house in Cypress Canyon. No number, no nothing, just a framework.
Uh-huh.
Now that house is finished. When I drove by it today, well, that's what stopped me, Sam, because it all fits. Now that it's finished, it is the house in the story, the same construction, the same vines and creepers on the lawn, even the same number.
So what, a guy who knows roughly what this house is going to be like writes a yarn and loses it or something?
Did he know the place was going to be listed for rental today, the Saturday before Christmas?
Oh, Jerry, coincidence. Two bits you find the guy next door is a ghost story writer or something, and he's been wondering for a year what happened to that thing he wrote.
Okay, coincidence. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you.
Don't be silly. I liked it. It's a good yarn. That the for rent sign you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to put it up outside now.
Uh-huh. Well, so long, Jerry, and Merry Christmas again.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dad. I guess I was kind of silly, all right, huh?
Listen, when a guy named, whatever it is, Woods, with a wife named Ellen, comes in to rent that place from you, then you can start worrying.
Yeah. Well, so long, Sam.
So long, Jerry.
Come in.
Oh, we're sorry to bother you, but we just happened to see that for rent sign outside.
Well, yeah, I hung it out just this minute.
Is the house available?
Oh, sure it is.
Let me introduce myself. My name is James A. Woods, and this is my wife, Ellen.
How do? Wow. Looks like it's fixing to...
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, selected for your pleasure from the world's greatest reserves of fine wine.
Suspense.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Another 5-minute mystery.
Sheriff.
Morning, Deputy. Ted just called in and said he'd be late. Springfield bus from Cleveland broke down just outside of Cleveland and won't be in till 11 o'clock.
Well, I guess you and I can handle what little business we get here in Springville until then. Oh, Sheriff's Office. Speaking. James Coburn shot? Be right there.
Sheriff, the bullet entered his right temple just over the eye, passing through the head and made its exit from the back of the neck.
I knew this would happen to James.
You knew this would happen, Miss Alice?
Yes. You see, Sheriff, some man in Cleveland had attempted to blackmail James because of an earlier romance, and James had threatened to turn the blackmailer over to the police. Because of that, his life was threatened. I had him come here to Springville to hide out for a while.
Deputy, have any strange men been reported in town the last few days, or have you seen any suspicious characters that might have been trying to locate James Coburn?
Oh, haven't heard of a soul, except some bum that must have dropped off a freight. A short, swarthy-looking guy.
That sounds just like the Cleveland man. James described him to me one day.
Don't recall anyone saying he'd inquired about Coburn.
James always seemed like a pretty upright man to me.
Oh, James was a very quiet man, Sheriff. He was just unfortunate enough to have been tied up with this affair in his youth. And then this gangster had to try a shakedown on him and ruin all our happiness. We were to be married. We were going to be married tomorrow and go to Cincinnati to live. James had a job offered him there.
I'm sorry. This has been a shock to you, then.
Yes, it has, Sheriff. James had written me last week. He asked me to come on the 8:30 bus today. Then we were going on to Cincinnati this afternoon. Oh, I was so happy. I packed all my things and left Cleveland on the bus early this morning. I rushed right out here only to find him dead. Oh, if only he'd gone to Cincinnati months ago as I begged him.
It would have been just the same, Miss Alice.
Well, it couldn't have been. He'd have been safe there.
No. No, you'd have tracked him there and murdered him, just like you did here.
Do you know why the sheriff accused Alice of murdering James Coburn? In just a moment, we shall find out. But first... And now for the solution to our mystery.
Alice, James Coburn was shot by someone facing him as he sat in the chair. Obviously, someone from whom he didn't fear violence, therefore not a man. You were the blackmailer if anyone was, Alice. He probably laughed at your threats today, went back to reading, and you shot him. You said that you arrived this morning at 8:30 on the bus from Cleveland. You couldn't have. That bus broke down, and one of my own deputies is still stranded outside of Cleveland on that bus. Come along.
Jimmy Blair in the spotlight, and it's that old favorite, the Chinese lullaby. The music of one of America's youngest composers and conductors, Teddy Powell, and his orchestra, from the famous door on 52nd Street in New York City. John Harper speaking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
$12 midnight. WJSV, Washington.